All right, folks, this is the August CapMac Users Group meeting. Most of us know each other, but let's get started. So what do we have on the agenda? First of all, let me ask, do we have any visitors tonight? And I believe we do.
I've already introduced myself, Marilyn Hughes.
Oh, all right, welcome to the meeting. I hope you enjoy it. Any others? All right, then let me keep going. We're up to about just
Eileen Devlin. Eileen Devlin, I'm the founder of the Mac Apple users in San Antonio.
Very good. Good to have you with us, Eileen.
Hey, Eileen, how's it going?
Doing fine. Bored like everybody else, but doing fine. How you doing, Bill?
Good to see you.
So we have at the last report from the last board meeting from Tom that we have 67 active members within CapMac. We've got 32 currently people on the call, so 33 now it looks like. So we've got a very good turnout tonight, including our 2 visitors and our speaker. Just wanted to share with everyone a list of URLs that you can go to, the same ones you see every month. Our website, capmac.org. We have a Twitter account. We have Facebook account. We have a YouTube channel where the videos from all of our meetings starting in May are stored. So you can go back and look at past meetings, and we have a Slack channel. Our primary program tonight is going to be Cloud Tips by Gary Rosenzweig, and I hope I didn't butcher your name, Gary.
Fine.
So let's look at our CapMac board, and here we are. We should be familiar to all of you. I do want to point out that it is membership renewal time. Our membership normally expires the end of August. So we're asking everyone to go ahead and renew your membership. I know a number of people already have, according to Tom. Membership is $36 a year, $24 for students, educators, military, and first responders. That'll renew your membership for a year. We do have a fee waiver program for those who are actively looking for work. You just have to make application to the board. To pay your dues, you can do it on the website, and there's the URL to do it. You may also send your check, and the address is provided. So please do that so you can continue partaking in our activities, and most specifically our door prizes and the 300 Club for performing various functions to benefit CapMac. So the July general meeting was held on the 14th, and the program was Siri, Tell Me About Mac Transitions by Stephen Hackett. If you were unable to see the meeting or want to go back and revisit it, here's the URL for where the video is on our website. Ahead, we have meetings for the rest of the year planned out. Next month will be a program on 5G by a friend of mine, Fozzie Bayman. October is Genealogy by Craig Gowans, whom we all know. November is going to be a program from our members talking about iOS 14 features. And I'll come back to that in just a minute. And of course, we'll have our annual holiday program led by Bob Levitas. Speaking of the November program, Nancy is driving this. She is still looking for a few volunteers to take a component of iOS 14 and then prepare a 10-minute demonstration of it. Now, this is assuming that iOS 14 has general release sufficiently before the November meeting to lay all this out, but I believe it's going to. We will revisit this at the September and the October meetings to make sure everything is on track. But if you would like to help participate, help present information about iOS 14, contact Nancy. And to go a step further, we're always looking for CapMac members to share their short, which is a 5 or 10 minute product review, tech tip, or security tip at our meetings. Umberto has already contacted me. He'll be making a presentation at the September meeting, in addition to our standard program. If you have an idea you want to share, let us know so that we can work you into the schedule. Okay, getting lost in my slides. We still do have a CapMac help desk. We usually did this at the restaurant at a table before the meeting. We can still do it, although now it's a virtual help desk. If you come up with a question or have a problem you would like assistance with, send it to President at CapMac, and I will be sure that it gets to our help desk team. Likewise, if you want to submit something via Slack, I will make sure that they get it. Now, before I go any further, is there anything that anyone needs to share before we move on to our program?
John,
Yes.
one of our members asked to pay their dues using Apple Pay. So we tried it, and what they did was they Apple paid the dues to my personal account, and then I put the cash into the CapMac bank account. So that worked well, and if anybody else is interested, I'll be glad to do it for them. Contact me, and I'll give you the particulars at treasure@capmac.org.
Thank you, Tom. Any other questions or comments before we begin our program? Okay. Well, first of all, let me introduce and thank Gary Rosenzweig for agreeing to be our speaker tonight. Gary is the founder, producer, and host of MacMost. We have actually shown one or two of his videos at meetings in the past. I looked at his website, and if I'm not mistaken, there are well over 1,000 videos there on all sorts of subjects related to the Mac and Apple. He has written more than 40 mass market books on computers, including his iPad series. He also develops mobile and web-based games, and he has a background both in computer science and journalism. His talk tonight is iCloud tips. He's going to take a look at some of the useful features of iCloud, file sharing, folders with others, saving iPhone photos, and more. So without going any further, let me turn this over to Gary so he can do his program.
Hi, everyone. My volume good?
I have to unshare my screen.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Let's see if I can share mine now. Let's see.
You should have
Yeah,
permission.
let's see. It gives me choice of screens. Let's see if I guessed correctly. I have to grant permissions. Give me a second here. There we go. Oh, it's going to make me quit Zoom in order to share my screen. So that's yeah, because I have to change permissions here. I will be back in like 10 seconds.
Very good. For the two people that are guests, if you would like to be added to our mailing list so that you are made aware of meetings in we have in the future, please send them to me or get them to me somehow, and we'll get them added to to our mailing list where we announce these Zoom meetings. And Gary's back, so I'm going to quit talking and let him take over.
And I think you guys could see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely.
iCloud tips. Okay, let's get this little window off of here so I could see all of you at the same time. So yeah, so I was asked to talk about iCloud tips. I've talked about this before. I'm a big iCloud user. I could see all of you in a big grid here. So by show of hands, how many use iCloud Drive? About half of you. Okay. So yeah, so when working with iCloud, I mean, I find it to be completely invaluable at this point. Like before iCloud, I was using Dropbox, and I still use Dropbox occasionally. It's great that there's a solution that just works seamlessly with Macs. Let's go and take a look at some of the tips here that I've got. Let's see. So yeah, so basically with iCloud Drive, a lot of people think that once you use iCloud Drive, basically everything's in iCloud, but it's not true. You can basically use both local storage and iCloud Drive, even if you use the desktop and documents folder, which seems like it should be the feature that puts everything on iCloud Drive. You definitely don't need to include all your files. As a matter of fact, I couldn't work with it like that because I produce, these videos, and these videos go from like 20 to 100 gigs a day when I record my tutorials. So can you imagine uploading, a 100 gig file, syncing with iCloud every single day? It would just never catch up. So what I do is I create folders in my home directory. So in my home directory, and here's an example here, you could see there's my home folder, and I have all the usual folders like pictures, music, movies. Desktop and documents aren't here because they're iCloud Drive, but it doesn't prevent me from creating my own folders like this local documents folder and this miscellaneous folder, and even one for games because I didn't need to sync all these game save files to iCloud Drive. So you can create these folders in your home folder, and those are not part of iCloud Drive. Those are just on your local machine. So then you can decide what you want to do. So if you work with, say, a lot of video files, and those are going to take way too much space in iCloud, you could stick them in the movies folder, or you could stick them in a folder that you create here on your home folder, and basically, just get the best of both worlds. You need a lot of local storage, just put it here. If you need it to be shared with all your computers and available everywhere, you put it on iCloud Drive. Now, desktop and documents folders. So the idea is you turn on desktop and documents folders, and then all of your files that are stored in those two particular folders then are synced with all your Macs. Now, a typical situation would be you have a desktop Mac, like an iMac, and a MacBook. And, one is your on-the-go machine, you sit on the sofa with it, and you take it everywhere. The other one sits on a desk. And you would normally say, okay, turn on desktop and documents folders for both, and then my desktop and documents folders are synced between both those machines. And that's great, but it's not the only option because you don't have to turn it on for both. And in fact, this is what I do. My desktop machine, which is a Mac Pro, that has desktop and documents folders turned on. So anything put in there is stored in iCloud. My MacBook, which is my laptop that I just carry around with me, and it really doesn't have anything important on it. It's just for surfing the web and accessing stuff that's on my Mac Pro. That has it turned off. So my desktop and documents folder on that Mac are actually separate. And they're either empty, or from time to time, I will just do a project. Like maybe when I'm traveling, I might do a project that I save to the documents folder on my MacBook Pro. And that's not part of iCloud. But I could still access my iCloud desktop and documents folders because they're under iCloud Drive. So if you just go to iCloud Drive and you look there, there's desktop and documents. So it's like I have two desktop and documents folders, my local one and my iCloud one. And you could do that if you have a second Mac. It's really handy.
Thank you. That's that's something I've been struggling with for quite some time.
Mhm.
Where do you set this up?
Well, desktops and
Each
documents,
machine.
so it's in system preferences, and then you click on your user ID, and then you'll come up with iCloud on the left. And I can actually switch to that. The nice thing about the new Keynote ability to do things in a window that doesn't take over the whole screen. So like in here, you can go to Apple ID, and then under Apple ID, if you select iCloud here, then it says iCloud Drive, click on Options, and there's Desktop and Documents folders. And you can have that turned on one Mac and off on the other if you want.
But you have to be on that particular Mac.
Yeah,
You set that
it's
up.
for, the setting is for the Mac that you're currently on looking at system preferences. So it's
Okay.
basically, yeah, it doesn't control the other Mac at all. It just controls the current Mac. But, you know, I actually, let's see, I actually have it on here.
To follow up on the question, if you have it turned on for your desktop, but
Mhm.
not on your laptop, but you're
Yeah.
traveling and you need something that's in the
Yeah.
cloud, do you just go out to the cloud and get it, or?
No, it's even easier than that. So here I am. Let's pretend it's not on, right? I just go on the side here to iCloud Drive, right? And there's desktop and documents in iCloud Drive. So I would access it just this way. It just wouldn't appear as separate folders like here. And my desktop itself, I would also be able to go to my home folder here, and I would see the desktop and documents. In this case, they're not there because I have iCloud Drive on. But if I had that turned off for this demo account, then I would see desktop and documents folder here in my home folder. That would be my local one. And then under iCloud Drive, I would see desktop and documents, and that would be my iCloud one. And
So-
really, it's no easier or harder to access the files than it is if you have that turned on for your second machine, because they're just right here. So instead of clicking this, I would click this and then this.
So, but you would have to be somewhere where you're plugged into Wi-Fi. You couldn't be on the airplane trying to do something and you're disconnected.
Well, it depends, because if you have things set up, you know, if you go into system preferences and go back to those iCloud settings, if you have optimized Mac storage turned off, like I do here, then your laptop has a full copy of everything. Now, a lot of times we turn that on to save space, but if this is turned off, then you could be on the airplane, all your files in your documents folder would be there. They wouldn't sync back to the server and back to your other Mac until you landed and connected to Wi-Fi. But at least, you know, everything would have synced ahead of time.
So when it says optimized Mac storage, what that really means is it copies everything up to the cloud, and effectively it saves you all kinds of space on the limited space on your SSD.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So the iCloud drive, you could either, in other words, you have a choice here. You can either sort of arbitrarily put stuff in, just like you would on any device, right? You can just copy stuff over in the cloud and it's there manually, or you can say, oh, by the way, I want to do it in desktop and documents, and it'll automatically in the background copy everything up there when you first turn it on, and everything will be there, correct?
Yeah, I mean, desktop and documents folders, if you just want everything to be in iCloud and you don't want to have to worry about it, you want the simple and safe solution, you turn that on and you don't worry about it. Everything's going to be stored in iCloud. I just set my daughter's computer up, a new MacBook Air up for college, and that's how I set it up for her. Just documents, desktop folder are on, and I told her to put everything in her documents folder, and I know it's going to go to iCloud. And she doesn't have to worry about the things like I need to worry about, like saving large, tutorial files and things like that. So everything could just fit into desktop and documents.
I have another question. My desktop is kind of a mess with little things I save all over it.
Yeah.
That means my iCloud desktop would also be kind of a mess if I don't do a little cleaning first.
Yeah, I mean, typically you could clean, and I recommend that. But also, remember when you view your desktop in the Finder, it's, list view, column view, and all of that. Only icon view would show your messy desktop. So you could have your mess on the desktop, but then when you open the desktop up in the Finder, put it in list view, and now it's sorted alphabetically, and it's not so messy anymore.
Question. Does the iDrive essentially use the same storage space as the iCloud? In other words, how do you get everything on your desktop in 5 gigabytes on the cloud?
Well, if you have, yeah, so you have to, it does use, so iCloud Drive uses your iCloud storage space. And so, yeah, you want to make sure that you have plenty of storage space. If you have more than 5 gigs worth of files and photos and other things, then you want to make sure that you're on a plan that's higher than the free plan.
You know, I wish Apple would do a better job explaining this. This is a great feature, and frankly, I've never really used it because I'm very careful about storing, and I have a bunch of drives I use for storage for various things here locally, and I back them up. But this is really a great thing. But like many things, it seems to me they don't really explain this stuff very well. It's insanely, if you will, insanely great. I mean, it's simple. You turn it on. As long as you pay for the space, you're covered. This is really handy. But I guess I would suspect a whole lot of people don't use it because they simply don't know.
Yeah, I think there's also a thing, like we've all been using computers for a while. I've noticed that younger people, they just take it for granted. They just, everything's stored in cloud. They find it confusing to think the other way. Whereas if you've been using computers since before, cloud storage, then it's hard to get out of that mindset. So yeah, so there's a whole mix of customers in terms of, how they think of iCloud and whether or not they use it.
There is a thing about clouds. That is, the cloud is a folder on some computer somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah.
It could be down the street. It could be in China, for all I know, in one of the big servers. Okay. And it's, I don't know. And all that happens is all the little ones and zeros on yours are just moved over there, copied over there. And it all goes on in the background seamlessly when you synchronize them. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference between, server storage, which is it's only up there, and cloud storage is that typically things sync up. So, all my files are on my Mac, but they're also at iCloud, right? So they're in 2 places at the same time. And on my laptop, that's a 3rd place, right? So the idea being that it's not just up on a server, it's shared. But the idea with the word cloud is that you don't have to worry about it. You basically, if you draw a diagram of where your data is, you just put all that under a cloud, and you let the software and hardware worry about that, where it is and how the data is stored. You just know that you have your file. Your file's right there. You open it up and you can access it.
I guess this is a reflection of the connectivity that everybody has sort of taken for granted these days. I mean, as Wi-Fi's gotten better and as internet connectivity has become effectively nonstop, why not? I was going to say one other thing that's related to this that I use all the time is the keychain. Like when you go into the keychain, you can set up iCloud. And I used to do it I started back in the old days when you did it the other way and it was local. It was very inconvenient, really, because you'd have to scurry back to the machine with the keychain and look stuff up. When I put it in the iCloud and it's shared around laptop, desktop, and so on, it's just insanely great. I mean, you can just, it's there. Whatever you need is there, and you can very quickly look it up, and it's pretty secure as long as you have a good password.
Yep. And with 2-factor. That makes it very secure.
Yeah,
I've kind of taken a kind of almost an opposite approach to what you showed there, which is where I don't sync my computers using iCloud, using the documents in the desktop folder, but I create a folder on the iCloud side outside of the document or desktop folder, so it won't sync. And then I put documents and what files that I don't want to sync, but I want to have access from all my other machines at. So that allows me to, like invoices and things that I do, I can call them up on my iPad or my phone or computer. Right. But I don't necessarily want to keep them on one of those devices. I just want to share them across my devices so it doesn't take up space except where I want it to take up space. But anyway, the point only being that you can kind of do it either way. You can have a non-syncing folder in iCloud, or you can have them non-syncing like you just described on your device itself.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of flexibility built in there on purpose. Because
I have a question. Can't you just plug in a hard drive into your network stream? You'll plug it into your router, and then it'll be visible to everybody in your house and your local network, but not people on the outside.
yeah, you can have network storage. You can even have your own cloud. If you go to a hosting company, you can set up your own private cloud. But yeah, I mean, the idea with iCloud is it's available everywhere. And
Yes, you're right. You're right.
And actually, some of the examples I'm going to show why it's like really handy to have it basically worldwide.
Question. Maybe I'm a cheapskate, but I keep wondering how much it costs to put so much on the cloud.
Yeah, I mean, I think the $2.99 a month plan, I believe, is 50 gigs, or is that 200 gigs? I think it might be 200 gigs.
That's
Yeah, it's 200 gigs, which is a lot. Actually, it's amazing. I'm at the highest level, so I pay $10 a month. But for the longest time, I was at $2.99 a month, even with all the work I do. And I was amazed that I didn't, I kept thinking I should be at the highest level, right? MacMost, I should be at the highest level of iCloud. Yet I just didn't need the space. And eventually I got there, and now I'm at the $10 a month level. But $2.99 a month, when I compare it to I pay for Netflix and Hulu and all this other stuff, and I get a lot more value out of iCloud. It's actually work related. So
How do you set up the non-syncing folder that the other gentleman mentioned?
You just Finder.
Yeah, I mean, the best way is just the way I was showing, right? Just go to your home directory, right? So this is the home directory for this account, MacMost. And
she's talking about on iCloud. So if you go to iCloud Drive and set up a folder.
I would set it up here if you just don't want it to be shared with anything else. I would put it in your home folder on your computer. It's more straightforward.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you go and create a non-syncing folder on the cloud, which I think is what she's asking,
yeah,
you go to the iCloud Drive over in Finder, and you create a folder just like you would on your machine outside of the document or desktop. So if you just create another folder called iCloud Files or something.
Like in here, like where I am right now, iCloud Drive, and then.
Yeah, just create a new folder.
I mean, that'll still sync.
No, it
with
won't.
iCloud.
No.
Like all of these will.
No, it won't.
Anything under iCloud Drive should sync. I mean, unless you have, the optimized function turned off and you're not actually accessing it.
No, mine doesn't.
So it should, and it should be available on all your devices.
You're just
it is
you're
available
just creating
on all the
a
devices.
file on cloud storage.
It just doesn't sync to the devices, but it's there. It's accessible.
You have to open the Finder and get to the directory and then access the file that way.
Right. And if you do under system preferences on your other machine, if you under iCloud settings here, if you have optimize turned on, then it won't just sync the files like automatically. You actually have to go and say, I want to use this file. And then it will allow you to access it.
Because that was basically my question. How do you, I don't want to have to pay for a bunch of storage space, and I've got too many gigs on the hard drive.
Then you definitely.
So I don't want the whole desktop.
Right.
Then it's got to be on the other.
It's got to be in your home folder.
Okay.
So yeah, just create something here called like local documents, or whatever you want to call it, and put things in there. Or if you choose not to have desktop and documents turned on at all,
right,
and then that would work too. So if you have this option here turned off, then your desktop and documents folder are in your home folder. They're not synced with iCloud at all. And then everything is local. And you still have iCloud Drive. You still can go manually over to iCloud Drive, the folder here, and put things there. Mm-hmm. But nothing will go there unless you actually put it there.
Bingo.
Okay. So that kind of segues nice into share a file. You can actually, one of the nice things you can do with iCloud is share a file with somebody else. And here I show, the basics of doing it. I could actually show you live here. if you go into any place, like here in my documents folder, if I wanted to share this info.rtf file, I can control click on it or 2-finger click or right click, and you go to share, and then I select add people, which is kind of, I mean, you'd think it would say iCloud or something, but it's add people. And then for that file there, I can turn on share options and say anybody with a link, only people I invite. And I could say whether they can only view it or they could actually change the file. And these options here are actually just how they find out about it. So if I say, mail here, and I hit share, it's going to open up a little message here, and I could, say who it's going to, and they get an email, and the email has a link in it. They click that link, and that file is now accessible to them, and it actually shows up in their iCloud drive, but it's the same file. So they have access to the file, and you have access to the file, and they could actually change it, they could copy it, they could do whatever they want. So it's an easy way to give somebody a file or to work with somebody on a file using iCloud Drive. And you could do the same thing with an entire folder. So if you do that same thing, but a folder instead of a file, then anything new you stick in that folder will become available to whoever you share it with, and anything they stick in there will become available to you. So it's a great way to be able to work together.
Does this work equally well? I mean, basically, if you send a link like that, will that work with folks that have a PC, or is
it works somewhat? They get a link, and I believe it takes them to a web page where they could download the file. So they still have the ability to do it, but it's not going to be at a high level like they
right.
Would if they're another Mac user.
Yeah.
But it does help. I mean, you could share with a bunch of people. So a whole group of 10 people, and 8 of them may have Macs, and they get to work on it. And the other 2 who don't, they still can at least download the file.
I have a question. So it will be same, basically looks like same Dropbox, but it will give you alerts if somebody edits something. It will send you a message. Let's say if I share, or I edit the document, it will tell you or not.
Yeah, I believe it does. I believe there is some little messaging that goes back and forth, and you can see who's altered stuff. Now, you could also do the thing, you can also collaborate with somebody with certain apps like Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. And in those apps, you can go in, I was going to talk about this later, but you can go into like a Pages document and, create one here and hit the collaborate button, which looks a lot like what I showed you before. But in this case, then they can open this same document up in Pages and work on it. Not just they can work on it and you can work on it, but you could do it at the same time. You could actually see their cursor and their typing in the document, and you can collaborate on it, and it shows you things. It shows you like what they're doing. So-and-so added this or deleted this or whatever as you're working on it with them. So it could be pretty, immersive in terms of collaborating with somebody. Although, of course, the simplest use is just to basically put a file up there, have somebody work on it while you're not working on it, and then you take it back. Or maybe you're just giving them the file, and you don't even want to work on it with them. They just take a copy of it, and you just saved basically having to email them a large file or something.
Does iCloud implement some kind of locks so that you both don't try to change the file?
Well, I mean, if you're working in Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, then there's no lock because you can work on it at the same time, and it handles you. Matter of fact, many people can work on it at the same time. I've done things where I've done group notes where you're at like a conference or a meeting, like this could be. Everybody here, we could all have a Pages document open and all shared, and we could all be typing into it at the same time. And we see different colored cursors and text at different places. And it actually works really well if you're at a meeting and you want to take notes and everybody's taking notes on what the speaker's talking about. You'll notice that some people are really good at adding URLs that the speaker mentions. Another person's really good at outlining or summarizing something in a sentence. And you end up at the end with this huge page of notes that is basically collaborative. Everybody has added to it. So let's go to the next one. Oh, okay, so here's another thing. So when you're working with iCloud files, okay, there are 2 ways actually to get back files that you may have deleted. A lot of people don't know this, because if you delete something with iCloud, it's deleted on all your devices. It syncs up. So if I have a MacBook and an iMac, and on the iMac I delete a file, that file disappears on the MacBook too. It all stays in sync. But it goes into a temporary holding place. And there are two ways to access that. One is the second one here. If you go into iCloud.com, the website version of iCloud, and you go to the Files app in there, you'll see a button at the lower right-hand corner for recently deleted files. Click on that, and it shows you any file you've deleted in the last 30 days. So it's not gotten rid of immediately. It's sitting there, and you can click on it and recover it. You could also, in iCloud.com, go to the settings screen, and there's an advanced section at the bottom, and I show it here, this arrow, and there's a restore files button. The only difference between these two is the iCloud Drive version is only your iCloud Drive files. The restore files actually includes some other data from other apps. So if you have apps that are using iCloud Drive to store data, you'll actually see them under restore files, under settings here, and you wouldn't see them under there. But I mean, it's a lifesaver for people because the thing about cloud storage is it syncs across. So especially while people are learning, they've got two Macs and they say, oh, I don't want this file on this Mac, but I want it on this one. So they delete the file and find out since it's all cloud storage, it's all shared, the file's gone. But then they can easily get it back here. And even after that, a learning curve is over, it's easy to accidentally delete files. And we're used to having things like Time Machine to save us. So having the ability to go and see your 30 days of deleted files is really useful. But still, I get questions all the time from people that don't know that that's possible. And this is what I was talking about before. I showed the collaborate button. So, you know, it's really handy. I recommend for something really cool like this collaborate thing that you guys try it out. Try collaborating with somebody else, maybe, you know, set up a time and just to see how it works. Everybody, you know, collaborate on a Pages document and then try typing and everything. Because once you see it in action, you kind of get it. And then you start to think of like ways you could use it. So I mentioned backups. So the thing about iCloud is a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that iCloud is a backup. And it kind of is. It protects you in some situations that a traditional backup would. For instance, say you've got your MacBook and you're somewhere and somebody steals your MacBook. And in the past, you lost all your files. All your files were on the MacBook and now they're gone. Hopefully you had a backup and you can go back to that. But with iCloud, if everything's stored in iCloud, somebody could steal your MacBook or it could fall into a lake or something like that. You could just buy another MacBook, sign into iCloud, and then under iCloud Drive, all your files reappear. So in that case, it's really useful and it works really well as a backup. So, you know, for instance, for like I mentioned, my daughter's gone to college now and she's got a new MacBook Air. You know, freshman in college, I'm not expecting her to have a Time Machine backup and her to plug her MacBook Air in every night and do the backups like she should. But she keeps all her files on iCloud, then that's going to provide a lot of protection. Also, I talked about the 30 days thing. You have that. Where it fails as a backup is kind of making changes and things because, you know, if you make a change to a file and you save it, and then you realize the next day that the change was a mistake and you want to go back to the old version of that file, well, it's synced up to iCloud. You only have the new version of the file. You can't go back. Time Machine, of course, is great at that. Time Machine allows you to go and revert back to the version of the document from yesterday. So yeah. iCloud doesn't work really well for things like that.
Can I ask you a question here? What if the person steals that laptop, brings it up, goes into your cloud, or goes onto your computer and deletes one of the files? It automatically is synced to the cloud and deleted from the cloud. Now it may go into a
yeah, but they wouldn't be able to do that because your password would prevent them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. So yeah, they wouldn't be able to get into your files. That's the idea. I mean, Macs and
steal your computer and on the back of the keyboard you write your password.
Yeah, yeah, don't do that. I mean, you know, it's great. I mean, especially the newer computer app Macs and stuff. You know, I mean, it's pretty much impossible to get into them the best they can hope for is to wipe it clean and, you know, have a piece of hardware to sell. And even that, with the newest Macs, with the T2 chips in them and everything, and all the latest iPhones, I mean, you go into, you know, your iCloud account and you kill that phone. You know, you say it's stolen and you kill it. Basically makes the hardware unusable. So, you know, basically, when somebody steals a MacBook, a newer MacBook, or an iPhone, all they can really hope for is maybe getting some money for parts, because it's kind of usable.
Can I ask you a quick question, Gary? You talked about time machine backup.
Yeah.
When you have stuff in iCloud, is it being backed up on Time Machine as well?
Excellent question. So Time Machine will back up everything that's on your hard drive. So with iCloud, if you have that optimize Mac storage setting off, that everything that's in iCloud is also on your Mac, and Time Machine works like it always did. If you have this turned on, then not everything is saved in Time Machine. So a perfect solution, a perfect situation is to have a desktop Mac that has enough space on it to store everything, and maybe have a secondary Mac, a laptop, that you could have this optimized function turned on. If your desktop Mac is saving to Time Machine, then everything's backed up to Time Machine. Otherwise, if you actually have like optimized turned on for your only Mac, then not everything is saved to Time Machine. But it kind of is, because if you think about it, you know, think, you know, day one, you create a file. It goes saved in iCloud. It gets backed up to Time Machine because it's on your local drive. Now, over time, you may not access that file again, and it may be optimized. It's no longer on your Mac, but it originally was. So Time Machine still has a version of it. So in certain situations, as you create files, they go up to iCloud, they get backed up to Time Machine, and then eventually they get kind of optimized off of your Mac. You still had a time a month ago, 2 months ago, when it was on your Mac. So it kind of did get saved by Time Machine. So even in the situation where you use optimized Mac storage, Time Machine still, in many cases, will get everything anyway. So one of my favorite features of iCloud is the Photos library feature. How many, show of hands, how many use iCloud Photos? Okay, a couple, not many. This is like my favorite feature. This is a feature that 10 years before iCloud, I would dream about. Because what I want when I take all my photos is I want to have all my photos on my iPhone all the time, in my pocket, everywhere I go. So I could be sitting at dinner talking to an old friend and say, oh, I got a picture I want to show you from 7 years ago when I went to, you know, Barcelona. And I could go through and scroll and show the picture. Before iCloud Photos, I would have had to have synced all my photos to my phone, or been lucky to have maybe synced that particular photo. But now with iCloud Photos, I don't have to worry about that. I simply have it turned on. I have it set to, it also has an optimized feature as well. So only thumbnails are stored on my iPhone. So I have something like 120 gigs of photos. But my iPhone, I think usually the photo storage is about 5 gigs. And it's mostly thumbnails. And I could scroll through them, find the photo I want, tap it, and then it loads that one photo in, and I could see it. So using iCloud Photos, I have this thing where all my photos are available to me at all times, even without taking up that much space on my iPhone.
How long does it take you to find a specific photo to show to that friend who is waiting for you while you scroll?
Not long at all, because I could just, it's sorted by date. I can also search by place and by object, right? So like for instance, somebody something came up about a cowboy hat, and I remember I have one picture of me in a cowboy hat, right? I just actually searched for cowboy hat, and a couple pictures came up, that had cowboy hats, and there was the one of me with the cowboy hat. And so then I immediately able to get to it.
No, I didn't know you could search that way without, yeah.
I mean, did you have to Did you have to put a keyword of hat, or did it
No.
actually identify a cowboy hat?
Yeah, yeah. The Photos app on your Mac and on your iPhone, you can search by object.
Wow.
So waterfall, flower, whatever it is you want, and then you could search by place also, and then by date too. So even if I didn't have that, I could have quickly gone to no, that was 7 years ago, so 2013, and I could have pretty quickly have found it. But having the keyword search is fantastic. Try it out and see what it's fun when you first discover it, because you end up typing in all sorts of like objects and seeing if it will find them in your photo.
Gary, I really debated many years about putting my photos in the cloud, because I had different photos on my MacBook, because I take it with me when I travel, and I try and keep all my photos on my Mac Mini, and I thought I'm going to end up with redundancy. But somehow it seems like the computer figured out, even though I imported them differently, so I thought they might have different attributes. Some came in off the camera, some of them came in out of a file. It doesn't seem like I was overwhelmed with redundancy, although I'm sure I do have some redundancy. But so it does work much better than I expected. I did have to buy more space, but
Yep.
you got 95,000 pictures. What are you gonna do? One thing about the phone, though, that because I have it optimized, if I'm take a picture and quickly want to look at the picture, it seems like it has to go up to the cloud and then come back. It doesn't like stay locally while I'm looking. And when I travel, I often have my phone on turned off as far in airplane mode, because I don't want to pay roaming charges. So
Yeah.
when you get to the hotel, you kind of have to turn on the Wi-Fi and sync the stuff up. But I mean, is that true? I mean, I take a picture and it doesn't even stay on my phone for like an instant. It's like got to go to the cloud and come back. And it seems like it's kind of hard to take a look at it.
It should. I mean, if you haven't, if you're tight on space, it's going to want to clear that space out pretty quick. But it definitely should, if you even have a little bit of extra space, if you look at a photo, you should be able to go right back and look at that photo again. That's one of the ones that's there and local.
Okay.
So
it would be local for a little while. Maybe I
a little while.
Yeah, maybe I sometimes I'm not sure what I'm doing.
There is a thing in computers that computers do not like redundancy. So if they see a file that's exactly the same number of pixels in it, ones and zeros essentially, as another one, they will put a link from one to the other. So you got a little bitty link hooking them together, which will save a lot of space.
And that's really great, but because I pulled some in off of the camera directly into my MacBook, and then I made a file where I just put them in there before I put it into photos, and I moved some out of a folder. They do have the right number of pixels, and maybe that's how I did it. But I debated for years and resisted doing it, but I finally decided to heck with it. I'm paying for this extra storage. Let's load it up and see what happens. And it worked amazingly better than I expected.
I love this feature. And here's another part of that same system that I love is, so when I'm traveling and I take pictures, it used to be, I remember this, I'm sure most people do, taking your camera with you and you go on this great trip and you're taking all these great pictures and they're in that card there. And you're the more pictures you take, the more nervous you get. And not until you get home and you take that card and you plug it into your Mac and you load all those pictures to your library, do you finally feel the relief that, oh, okay, those pictures are fine now they're going to get backed up and everything. But now with iCloud Photos, you don't even have to worry about that. Everything syncs automatically. So when I take pictures with my iPhone, I could be anywhere in the world. I take the picture, and then when I'm hooked up to Wi-Fi, usually it will then go to iCloud. So I could be taking pictures on a trip. Remember when we used to go on trips? I could take a picture on a trip, and then everything is going to iCloud. So by the time I get home, there's not even anything to do. Everything's already sitting on my Mac, and it's like it's a great thing. Everything just syncs as I'm going on the trip. Now the cool thing is, and a lot of people don't know this, is you can get a little SD card adapter for your iPhone, and it plugs into the Lightning port, and you could take the SD card from a regular camera and put it in here, and it will actually import the pictures into your iPhone and then sync them with iCloud. So I usually have another camera with me, with a telephoto lens, a Canon or something like that. And I take pictures with that. And in the evening, I go and I take the SD card out of that. I put it into this adapter. I plug it into my iPhone. It syncs with the iPhone. All the photos go into there. And then the iPhone overnight, while it's charging and all, uploads all of those over Wi-Fi to iCloud. So even my DSLR camera gets all the photos synced to iCloud while I'm traveling instead of having to wait till I come home.
I've often had the opposite. I've been out with my iPhone. I wanted to show somebody a picture, but I downloaded the pictures to my desktop, so they weren't available on the iPhone. So it looks like this would solve that problem.
Yeah, all your pictures are everywhere.
But
and
how do I get to them on the iPhone?
In the Photos app, if you're using iCloud Photos, then it just syncs your iCloud library on your Photos app on your iPhone, and your iCloud library on your Photos app on your Mac are the same. Matter of fact, and you don't have to go to the iPhone. If you have your Mac with you, you plug the SD card into your Mac, you sync into you load all those photos onto your Photos library on your Mac. It syncs up to the iCloud, and then they appear on your iPhone. So either way you want to do it, everything just syncs up. You just get the photo into your library, and then it appears everywhere.
That works for photos. Can you get to the iDrive or the
Photos app
on the iPhone?
Yeah, the Photos app on the iPhone.
How?
Little color wheel kind of thing.
No, I see the iPhotos, but how do you actually get to the iCloud?
Well, the Photos app, if you're using iCloud Photo Library, that is your iCloud Photo Library. The entire library is iCloud.
I think what he's asking, you probably have to turn on iCloud, in settings on the photos, so that it knows that that's where you want to get it. Something like that.
You have to have an iCloud Photo Library, so you have to be using this feature instead of a local library, like local to your Mac or local to your phone.
Okay, well, I wanted to be able to access some PDF files on the iCloud.
Yeah, well, PDF files, you can store those in iCloud Drive just as files.
Exactly.
And
I couldn't seem to do that.
Yeah, you could, if you put them just in iCloud Drive and then you go to the Files app on your iPhone, then you could just find that file there in iCloud Drive, tap on it, and it opens up and you can view it.
You can also put PDFs in ebooks.
Yeah, the other, it's actually a good tip, is the Books app actually accepts PDFs.
Oh.
So if you have Books enabled in iCloud, you could drag and drop the PDF into Books on your Mac, and then it will appear in Books on your iPhone. And the Books app is actually quite a nice PDF reader.
Oh, okay, because I hadn't found any other use for books.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's actually, especially it's a multi-page PDF, like a book that's like 30 pages or 100 pages. It's actually really good to read it in the Books app rather than trying to flip through it as a file. So here's another one I wanted to get to, is using iCloud calendars, right? So using calendars in iCloud, most people just have it turned on, and it's great because it's kind of backed up to iCloud, and you can, when you create a new event in your calendar, you see it on all your devices and everything like that. But you can create a shared calendar, and you can see here how I did one. You just control click on a calendar in the Calendars app here on your Mac, and you could choose to share it and who to share it with, and then everybody can add events and edit events on that calendar. So it's perfect for families, of course. You can have this calendar where everybody can add family events too, which is great because you don't have to, tell everybody, oh, we've got this thing coming up, or remind people of that. It's just on the calendar. Everybody can see it on the calendar. It's great for sharing information too. So we're flying somewhere, for instance, I will create the calendar event, United Airlines flight, whatever. And I put in the notes for the event in the calendar, like the departure time and our seats and all that stuff. And everybody has that. So nobody's bugging me for what time does the flight leave tomorrow, that kind of thing. It's always in the calendar. And you could do it for organizations like this one, or, any kind of like team, a club, thing for work. you know, if you have any reason to have to coordinate events with people, you can create a calendar and share it with people, and then everybody can go and, you know, add events to it and edit events, things like that. So really useful for things. You can also do it with reminders. You can create a shared reminders list. And, you know, this is like the simplest thing is a shopping list. We have a shared shopping list. So everybody can go and add items to the shopping list. So whoever ends up at the supermarket next can go and look at the list and doesn't have to ask everybody, what do you need at the supermarket? You just go and look at the list and say, oh, somebody added ice cream to the list. I'll make sure I pick that up. But for other things like chores and errands and stuff like that, you know, you can just create lists like that for, you know, preparing for like a trip, like, oh, here's the things we need to do around the house, put them all on the list, share it with everybody. Whoever can get to the individual items can check them off. And then you could do similar things with notes. And this is actually a real note here. I created a note and shared it with my family. And the note includes all the people that you need to call, like in emergencies and for like house stuff, right? If we need a plumber and if I'm out of town, you can go right to the shared note and see like who our plumber is, phone number to call him. And, you know, just share that. And I could add stuff to that without having to tell people. I don't have to go and say, hey, everybody, if we need somebody to fix the garage door again, I put the information in the drawer or whatever. I could just go and add it to this notes thing here. And my wife knows to go and look in it if there's trouble and I'm not around to, you know, with these numbers at hand. But you could do other things. You can create checklists in them for everybody to share. You can put a list of emergency contacts, you know, put that in there and, you know, just share it with whoever needs to. So shared notes are a really useful thing. I've also done stuff with shared notes where I've planned a trip with a friend and we were, you know, we live in different places and we were going on a trip together and we both were coming up with ideas for like places we could go, you know, and things to do on this trip. And we both were just adding to this note. And so we had this one note and we could see all the different things in the different locations we were going to be, and we could just access it and share it. And we write comments to each other in the note too.
How do you know that the note's been updated if someone's writing comments? How would you know to look at it again to see, oh, there's a new note in notes?
Yeah, you wouldn't. So it would be the kind of system where you just rely on, you know, going through and just seeing what's there, what's new. I mean, the idea is kind of it for it to be passive as a note. But, you know, I would look and, I mean, if you could set up a system where I could ask a question like, you know, put the person's name, you know, colon, and then ask a question. And then they would go, and because you can do like coloring and bolding and all that stuff so that they would see it there. And when they would answer it, they would delete that. You know, like I would say, do we have enough time for this, this thing we're going to, you know, as a question. And he could go and then, you know, delete it and say, or respond to it right there and say, yeah, you know, I think it shouldn't last more than 2 hours. We'll be fine. That kind of thing. So you come up with your own system with whoever it is you're sharing the notes with. It's kind of a canvas for you to create your own thing on. For those that use iCloud email, you know, iCloud.com, Mac.com, or me.com email, one tip I have is to not use rules on your Mac. I know a lot of people like to go into the Mail app and go to rules and set rules up there. The problem with those rules is that they require your Mac to actually take the action. So if you're getting your email on your iPhone and your iPad and another Mac, you know, there's only one Mac that's actually doing those rules. But there's a rule section if you go to iCloud.com and you go to the Mail app at iCloud.com, click on the little settings button here, there is a rules area. And you could add a rule here, and it's similar to how things work on your local machine, you know, on your local Mac, except that it's happening at the server level. So before the email ever goes to your iPhone or iPad or Mac or whatever, it's going to get filtered by this rule. So you could set up something like to, you know, filter out an email from somebody, take it right out of the inbox, or, you know, mark something as important or whatever it is that you want. So check out those rules if you've never done that, if you like to use mail rules for things. And that's most of what I wanted to talk about. I have some other, basic tips. You can scan with your iPhone. So if you go into the Files app, and at the top of the Files app, you'd be in a folder in the Files app, and you can, at the top, hit the 3 dots button. So you can see kind of like 3 dots up here. Tap that. And then once you do that, there we go. Tap that, and at the bottom, it'll give you the ability to scan documents. And the cool thing is then you use your phone and you can scan multi-page documents, page at a time, and it will, figure out where the page is, take a photo, you flip it over, it takes another photo, and you scan a 3-page document, and then it saves to iCloud Drive. So I have a folder where I do all my scans, wherever I get receipts or, things like that. And I just scan with my iPhone, save it to iCloud Drive, and it appears in that folder on my Mac. So what I used to use a scanner for, now I just use my iPhone for.
So, I mean, sometimes I'm taking a photo with the camera of something in a book because I'm trying to remember a reference or something. And so they're all JPEGs. And you're saying I could actually scan it, and does it come in as a PDF? Does it do optical character recognition? Does it actually come in as text?
So you have options. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember where the options were.
You said you go into your files folder, but are you talking about on your computer or your phone somewhere?
Both, because it's iCloud Drive. So you have options when you do a scan.
Oh, you go to iCloud Drive, okay.
And, you could do it grayscale, black and white, that kind of thing. And I believe it still saves it. I'm trying to remember if it saves it as it saves it as a PDF. That's right. So it saves it as a PDF. It doesn't do optical character recognition where the text is there, but it does do a little bit of it because you could search. Oh. So words will show up in search. So it's really useful. And it's great because I don't have to be in my office to actually scan something. If I'm somewhere else, I could just scan it right there. And it'd be great for trying to scan books. I would look into that. There are also, of course, a ton of apps that specialize in scanning and have specialties. So if you want to scan a bunch of pages of a book, it may give you more options than just the basic stuff in the Files app.
So what if you want to scan someone's business card? Does it come in? Will it go into your contacts, or do you have to?
No, but it's a great way to capture it, and then later on you can get around to, adding it to your contacts, when you have time. For me, I like to scan things and forget them. Just the fact that I have it is enough, because I know 99% of the time I never need to see the document, but I know it's there if I need to go back, and I could usually go and say, oh, that was around the middle of June. Let me look at by date. Oh, there's a scan there. Oh, that's it. Because, especially on your Mac with Quick Look and Finder Preview, you can just flip through a bunch of PDFs really fast and quickly find what it is you want.
I don't actually see files on my phone. Is that something you have to load?
No, it should be there by default. It's just a little white icon there. Let's see. Get it to resolve. Come on.
I don't get it.
It's this little, there it is. This one right here.
Huh. I don't have it.
Do a search for it. Swipe down and
What
search.
version of iPhone do you have?
I have a SE.
Is it running iOS 12 or 13?
Yeah.
Yeah. They added the scanning option in iOS 13, but the Files app was there 12 and earlier.
I had the same question. That's what I was asking about earlier on how do I find the iCloud on the iPhone.
Yeah, Files app should be there by default. Let's see if you got rid of it. I want to see if it's in the App Store. You can. So you can grab it from the app. If somehow it's not on your phone, grab it from the App Store.
And then it points you directly at it, but it doesn't tell you where it is.
It's on one of your screens on your phone.
Yeah, it is.
Or in a subfolder or something like that.
Yeah, possibly.
Let's see. I don't know how much time we have. How are we for time?
I guess we
good?
good.
I mean,
We
I
have
just
time.
some of the other tips I've got is like to save space on iCloud photos. I never save videos to iCloud photos because they take up a lot of space, and I just like to keep my photos library as just photos. So I save videos off to just a folder on my Mac with a good name. I don't take that many videos. You know, on a trip, I might come back with 1,000 photos and 12 videos. So I'll just save those out to a separate folder and save all that iCloud space and have them be local instead. And so that's one option. I know a lot of times people can say, "Oh, my iCloud storage is shot because I've got so much in my library," and it turns out they have hundreds of videos. And so that's one way to save space is just do photos and not videos. Let's see. Oh, you don't have to.
I did download files, and it did. I went into like it's a utility, so it may be in a subfolder under utilities if you have trouble finding it. Mine turned out to just be on the desktop after I went to the App Store and downloaded files iPhone. So thank you, Gary.
Sure. Another thing you can do is you can have multiple photo libraries. Only one photo library can be your actual iCloud photo library. But let's say in a situation where you use your Mac for work and for personal stuff, and sometimes you take work photos. Like let's say you're like an event photographer, kind of semi-pro, and you go out and you take photos of an event like a wedding or something like that. You don't want to put all those photos in your personal library, but you can create a separate standalone local photos library and put those photos there. So that's another thing you can do to kind of save space and divide things up. I don't like to divide things up into local and cloud if I can avoid it, but if something's clearly not related to the rest of my photos, like it's a project I did for work or something, then I create a separate photos library for it or just store them as files.
Can you outline how you would create that photos library?
Yeah, sure. I can show you. So here I am in the Photos app here. So I'm going to quit Photos, and I'm going to launch it. I believe it's with the Option key held down. Right. So when you launch Photos with the Option key held down, you get to choose a library, and it's finding a bunch of stuff on some archive drives I have attached. Or you can create a new library and store that somewhere. So once you've created a second library, say for work stuff, you can hold the Option key down, launch Photos, and choose the library. Now notice here, it's hard to see. Oh, good, I can expand. It says Photos Library is System Photo Library. That's your iCloud photo library. So, you only have one of those, and that's, always the one that syncs to iCloud. These would be secondary libraries that are just stored locally. So you always want to make sure you switch back to this one for your normal operation, and then you switch to this one here for, storing things for like that project or whatever. But the key is holding down the Option key when you start up.
So Gary, I'm a consultant, and I do take a lot of photos when I go to do assessment in various facilities.
Yeah.
How do I get them out of my photos? Because you launch one, and then, how do you move them out of? Because right now they're all in my big main photos library.
Moving them is really tough. For stuff like that, I would just drag them out, put them into a folder. That might be how you want to store them anyway. And then delete them from your regular library and just store them in a folder. You remember that the Finder itself is really good at kind of acting as a photo browser. So, like, trying to see if I've got some sample photos here. Well, I've got a few in here. You could go, you have icon view, you've got list view or column view with the preview on the right, and you also have the gallery view, which is almost like a little Photos app in itself. So a bunch of photos stored in a file, in a folder, you just view them with the Finder, and you still have like all this information, and you can view them and then get to them from there. But then if you want to go the step further and create a new library for them, then it would just be dragging them into that new library that you created. So it's not pleasant. It's not a great solution, but
Basically, put them in a folder, label it. These are work pictures,
yeah,
and then you can create. If you like using iPhoto to scroll through them or put them,
yeah,
do something with them, then you can create
do
a
it.
separate library.
Right. Yeah. So either way, either option is good.
All right, thanks.
Oh,
Gary,
I'll,
a question, please. I didn't catch what you said about how do you tell your iPhone that you want to scan instead of just take a photo?
so you do that in the Files app, and at the top of the Files app, when you're viewing some files, so like I'm viewing just some files here in the Files app. If you scroll down, you'll see this little button there. It's 3 dots at the top. Tap that, and you get the option there to basically take a photo, scan a document. And you know, either one will basically just take a photo or scan a document and add it into your files.
Okay.
Question about files. I'm in the files thing looking at it right now. And I don't see any way to delete anything out of the file folder.
Well, you swipe, right to left.
Right.
Red
Okay.
delete button will appear.
Well, I did that. It didn't have a delete button, so I'll try it again.
Yeah, you just
You
do
can
that.
also press down on the file and it'll give you a menu. if
Yeah,
you put a
okay.
new phone.
Don't you have a select choice up in the top right-hand corner?
That works too.
You select the ones you don't like anymore, and then once you've selected something, then you have options of what to do with it.
Right.
All righty. Thanks. Oh, yes. Perfect.
Cool. Quick tip here is family sharing. If you use family sharing, you could set it to, and I think by default it's set to share cloud storage space. So, instead of having, if you have 2 members of your family having, a $2.99 plan, you can share one $2.99 plan if you're using family sharing with iCloud. Another one, and this one I really like, is the App Store. So the App Store isn't thought of as part of iCloud, but it kind of is because it acts like a cloud service for software. So 2 really cool features. When you buy an app in the App Store, you can now install it on all the Macs that you own. So if you have a MacBook and an iMac, you can install that same app on 2 different machines, right? You don't have to pay twice. And in addition to that, you don't have to keep them installed because you can always re-download them. So if you download an app and it's taking up a lot of space and you don't think you're going to use it, like an example I like to give is maybe you download a greeting card maker app, right? And every year in November, you use it to make a beautiful Christmas card that you then print and send out. And then you're done with it until next November. So you could go in and then save the space from that app by just deleting that app, uninstalling it using Launchpad. And then the next year, go back into the Mac App Store and download it again. The Mac App Store knows that you purchased it. You have this perpetual license for that app, and it allows you to just download it like it's a free app now that you paid for it once. So that's like really useful. And I've used that in the past. My current MacBook has plenty of space on it, but in the past, there's some pretty big apps like GarageBand, for instance, takes up a ton of space, or Final Cut Pro. And, I don't have to keep those on my laptop. I could just, get rid of them. And if I do need GarageBand at some point, I just download it again. So that's all the tips I've got for iCloud.
Thanks.
Do you have any tips about sharing music between various family members or?
Yeah, first of all, there's so many different ways that people access music today. Like I'm a completely Apple Music person, and my daughter is too. So that's nice because we both have access to all the music in the world through Apple Music, which means that if she wants to share an album with me, she just sends me the link and I can listen to it. If she wants to make a playlist for me, she does, and then she shares the playlist and I can listen to that. If you're not using Apple Music, then it gets tougher because, of course, then, there's music that you've got, music that somebody else may or may not have. and it gets really complex depending upon where the music came from. If you purchased it from iTunes, for instance, then they can't just listen to it. They have to purchase it as well. But I'm trying to remember if family sharing actually covers iTunes purchases. I know family sharing covers Apple Music. So you get Apple Music Family Plan, $15 a month instead of $10 a month. And my entire family is Apple Music, and we don't have to pay $10 a piece separately. But I can't remember if you, and I know apps too, family sharing, if I buy an app, then my daughter and my wife can actually download that app on their Mac. But I'm not sure how that works with songs purchased on iTunes.
Perhaps that's a good topic for another
Yeah.
meeting. This has been really great to see all these different things you can use. I feel like I'm going to have to watch the recording a couple times because it's been so rich with details. Really, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I'd like to say something, and that is, if you've ever tried to use Google Photos to store your photos, because you can have the Google Photo app installed on your phone, and every picture you take on your phone, or they get stored, I guess, in the cloud, will go up into the Google Cloud.
Yeah,
photo.
it's same. It's basically the same kind of thing. You're just using Google's cloud instead of Apple's cloud. But it's still syncing the photos between your devices, and you still have access to things and everything like that. So certainly it's fine. And actually, if you have just one non-Apple device, like if you have a Mac and an iPad and another Mac, but you have an Android phone, then using Google Photos is better because you can easily see your photos between all your devices. It doesn't work so well. iCloud stuff doesn't work so well if some device that you have and use all the time isn't an Apple device.
The thing about Google, though, I mean, they basically, if something's free, you are the product. They are collecting marketing data about you, and Apple, you're paying some stuff, and you're in the ecosystem for Apple. That's where their business model is. With Google, I don't, I do use some Google stuff, but I don't really trust it for that reason.
Yeah, and there's a good reason behind all that too, because Google's revenue is almost completely based on ads, right? So they need all that data to be able to serve up ads and have all the analytics and all that stuff. Apple, on the other hand, is the opposite. They have almost no advertising systems in place at all. They don't really make any money off of selling ads to their customers, which is really unusual because almost every other tech company does sell ads to some extent. Apple actually purposely got rid of their ad system. They had one for a little while. They got rid of it, and now they could basically say, every time Tim Cook says, "Oh, we stand for privacy and we want, we want to be like privacy advocates and all that," it's really easy for Tim Cook to say that because they don't gain anything by violating your privacy. They've basically eliminated all that from the company. And Google can't. Google simply, because they give away Android, the operating system, they give that away. They give away the Chrome browser. They give away all their best. Using google.com is free. Most of their stuff is given away. They don't charge for it, and they make money off the ads. Whereas almost everything Apple does, they charge for, so they can now, say that they're all for privacy. But the reality is they don't need your data.
I've got a question that came up earlier when you were talking about Apple Music and iTunes.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble understanding if there is a difference between those two.
Yeah. Well, so Apple Music is a subscription service. So you pay $10 a month. And once you subscribe, you can access all the music at Apple Music. So anything that's in the library, which is 90% of all music ever, published. So you can go in and just listen to things, search for your favorite band, find the album, play. And that's how Apple Music works. With iTunes, you're buying everything one time. So, you find that same album, you buy it for $10. And now that $10 is all you have to pay, and you have that music, but you only have that one album, right? You want another album, you got to pay another $10. You want another song, it's going to cost you 99 cents, that kind of thing. So, so Apple Music is great. I love it because of, you know, I don't have to feel I invest in some music to listen to it. If I see an artist that I think looks interesting, I will play the album. And if I don't like the album, I never have to listen to it again. Didn't cost me anything extra. If I like the album, I can continue to listen to it over and over again. And so because of that, I feel I try new music much more often than I would if I had to buy it. I mean, I remember going to the record store, you know, and you have to go and you walk in, you say, I'm going to buy 2 albums today. And you go through and you agonize, which of these albums am I going to buy? And, you know, you decide on these 2, and maybe one you like, one you don't, and that's it. You know, until next week or next month, you're not buying any more music. With Apple Music, you don't even have to worry about that. Listen to 2 songs, say, I don't like this artist, move on to another one. Or just, you know, and just try things that are completely, you know, different than what you're normally used to listening to.
So you're getting more than just the snippets that iTunes
oh, you get the whole thing. You get everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I could go back and listen to stuff that I know that I, you know, used to like, you know, albums that I haven't heard in years, and I don't have them anymore, but they're on Apple Music. I just go back and just on a whim decide to listen to some album I used to listen to 30 years ago, and then go and listen to, like, you know, something new. And, you know, one day it could be jazz, the next day it's classical, then it's rock, and then it's folk music, and then, you know, whatever it is I want, I could just go through and just play things. And then on my iPhone, you know, since I have it on my Mac and my iPhone and all of that, I even get Siri to DJ for me. So I plug my iPhone into the car and I'm driving. I just ask Siri to play some rock or play some 80s music or play a particular song by a particular artist. And then it gets played. And I don't have to worry about what did I load up on the phone or do I own that album or anything.
I have trouble remembering specific singers and so forth. Is there a way to build up a personal library of ones that you found you like?
Yeah, exactly. So you do exactly that. You, as part of the app, both on your Mac and on your iPhone, they're all in sync. You build up your own personal library of stuff. So I can go and listen to, like, for instance, I could just decide to listen to, you know, a Beatles album. I could listen to Sgt. Pepper, but I could also go and save Sgt. Pepper to my music. And now when I look through my library of music, that album is in there. So I can build up a library of albums or songs. I can create playlists. I can do all of that. It's not required. I can just go and listen to any song I want. But if I like to organize things and like to build up a collection of my favorite music, I can do that.
As long as you're paying the monthly fee.
Yeah, as long as you pay the $10 a month. And, you know, if you heard of the service Spotify, it's basically exactly the same as Spotify. You know, Spotify and Apple Music go head to head with very similar services.
If you stop paying that $10 fee, would you lose the music that you had saved?
Yeah,
Because
you don't have access to it anymore. So
right.
You basically have access as long as you pay the subscription and you stop paying the subscription. It's just like, you know, Netflix or something like that.
I was driving along from New Mexico this summer and I said to Siri, play Buddy Holly. It played just about every Buddy Holly song he ever wrote. It was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. You could yeah. I mean, you can come up with just songs you haven't heard in a long time or just odd things and just have it play that song, and it's a lot of fun. And you can say, like, play things like this, you know, so you can say play stuff like Buddy Holly, you know, and you'll hear other, you know, songs that are similar in different ways. It's really pretty cool. I've gone home from movies, like you leave a movie and remember movies, and then you're like, I really like the soundtrack, and they're on the car pulling out of the parking lot from the movie theater. I just ask it to play the soundtrack to that movie, and then the soundtrack comes up. So it's really cool.
And all these weeks and weeks and weeks of the quarantine of alone in my apartment, you know, you can go nuts. I mean, I can talk And I can get up in the morning and tell my HomePod, play Vince Gill's latest album. And it comes. I don't even have to know what it is or any of the songs on it.
Yep, I know. It's great. I love doing it. I love Apple Music. I love Spotify for years before Apple Music launched, and then I switched to Apple Music, and I love music too.
Can I ask a question about the apps? Like, do they have an arrangement at the App Store where for X dollars a month you can use all the apps you want?
No, they don't have anything like that.
Okay. See, I was listening to the Senate hearings that they had, you know, the Apple guy, the Microsoft guy, so on. And there was a thing going on with the apps where Apple and Google, what they were doing was they were using their analytics to figure out which apps were the most popular.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden they would come along, they would shut the person's app down, and then they would supply their own. And I had this happen to me with Google. I had written one for decoding credit card numbers. So and they said that I was violating intellectual property because I could do about 15 credit cards, you see. And you know, and I explained to them that really it's just an old algorithm from the 1950s for parity checking. You know, it's really stupid stuff, you see. All right, for the numbers. However, they shut me down for about a year over that. In the meantime, they came up with one, and I was like number 8 in Israel.
Yeah. No, it's a problem with websites for Google and with the app stores and everything. Whenever something becomes really popular, and usually it's the users that call for, like, why isn't this built into the Mac, or why isn't this built into the iPhone?
Oh, that's another thing, they capture it in the operating system. Microsoft did that too.
Yeah, so Apple does some of it and everything, and you know, it's part of the business.
Microsoft stole one of mine long ago, back on Windows 3.1. So it pissed me off.
All right.
Well, you have given us a very good program this evening, Gary.
Oh, great.
Covered a wide range of things that I think everyone has really enjoyed. So
Well,
I want to thank you for CapMac.
And this type of remote training where he can just show us on his computer, it actually works better than in person, although I do miss the Mexican food and the camaraderie. You know, it really is a better way to explain the computer stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
And we've got it recorded, so you can go back and see it again later.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
I agree with Ginger. I'm going to have to go back and go through it again. It was really, really very good. Thank you.
Sure. Just know that you can go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, which is CapMac Austin, all one word. And as the videos come up, we've got 4 of them up there now, but we need subscribers. So
I'll be sure to like it, or share it from my YouTube channel once this goes up. So.
Okay.
Well, thank you. I will make sure you get a notification.
Cool.
Could we share that first page that showed all the CapMac links? Because I didn't know how to capture the screen, and now I do.
It will be posting the keynotes or my keynote slide deck into the website in the next couple of days.
Okay, so look on the CapMac website.
Yeah, we can put that that keynote link it also in with the video on the website. We could do that. All right. Well,
John?
is that a meeting?
I posted it in the chat room as well.
John, door prizes. There will be some gift cards sent out to 4 of our members. Tom will give me the list of names and paid members. And I have an app that gives me numbers, random numbers, and I will notify you if you happen to be one of the winners.
I'll send you the list shortly.
Right, thank you, Nancy.
Okey-dokey.
All right. Do we have any other last-minute questions or comments?
I have a comment. I might be able to share some save people a little bit of grief. Have you ever gone to a website and found something you really wanted to buy, and when you got to the checkout, the link would fail and you would get an error message that says something like server not responding or whatever? And I had that happen to me twice within the last month. And in both cases, I tried my Mac, my iPhone, and my iPad, and I got the same error message all 3 times. And on my phone, I tried getting off of Wi-Fi and tried to do it with the cell phone signal. And so I emailed one of the companies and I told them exactly what the problem was. And they said, well, if you're using Safari on a Mac, it will not work. And sure enough, when I launched the Google Chrome browser, the checkout worked perfectly, no error message, the transaction went through. And so when it happened a few weeks later on a completely different website, I guess I had momentarily forgotten, and I was getting ready to actually had sent an email to the merchant asking if they would, you know, send an invoice to PayPal because I really wanted to buy this thing. And then right after I sent the email, I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if it'll work in Google Chrome. So I go into Google Chrome, and sure enough, the transaction went through perfectly. You know, I don't know what Safari does, and I don't know what Apple does, but there are certain websites that simply will not work in Safari, no matter which device you're trying to do it on. And you literally have to go to a different browser. And I found in 2 of these cases that Google Chrome will do the trick.
You know, I've had just exactly the opposite experience where I've gone to websites and gotten that same message using Google Chrome. And then I went to Safari and I was able to purchase the item I wanted to purchase by using Safari.
Fascinating. That's fascinating.
Yeah, exactly the opposite.
It has more to do with the website you're going into and how they've coded it. If, I mean, you might have tried Firefox and it might have worked too, or it might not have.
It didn't. At least on one of them, it didn't.
You just have to, it's good to have more than one browser because
that's the real message. Yeah.
Right.
I think it just tells you that the people that set up the website weren't really looking for discriminating customers, or they would have checked it out with Safari.
Well, in both cases, I sent all the details to both merchants, explaining to them that their website will not work on any Mac Apple devices.
Yeah.
Okay. That's weird.
All right. Do we have anything else to share?
Not.
I have a
Well,
Zoom
then
question.
I think we can.
I have a Zoom
Go ahead.
question that may or may not apply. I was talking to somebody a while back, and they said that there might be a way to get more faces on your screen. I seem to be limited to 5 by 5. So if there's more than 25 people, they get shoved off onto another page.
There is a place where you can check. You can have up to 49, but it depends on how big your screen is and what all you have on there. If you're full screen and somebody's sharing, it probably squinches the gallery view. But in video, there is in video settings, you can select, I think it's in video settings. Yeah, display up to 49 participants per screen in gallery view.
Really?
Yeah, if you just go right next to the little video camera and the little up arrow there. It's,
Right, I see video settings, right.
yeah,
Which setting is that under though?
video settings. Yep.
There's a last selection at the bottom of the
You know
page.
the little on your Zoom window, there's a little microphone and there's a little video camera.
Yeah. And
Next to
when
the
I-
video camera is a little arrow, and if you click video settings, it's the bottom option just on mine.
Right, it is the bottom option, and on mine that was it was scrolled off the screen.
Oh, how did I do that?
Is that accessibility then? Is that what it is?
Oh,
no.
No.
No, it's under
I
video.
had 36 people showing on my screen not too long ago, earlier in the meeting.
Yeah. And so
I don't see where you're getting it though. I'm in the settings.
video settings.
That setting's
Yeah.
not available on an iPad.
No. Don, go
No.
down. There's a scroll bar down at the bottom. You can go down it.
Right,
So-
mine's grayed out though. I can't do the 49 for whatever reason. I've got a 27-inch screen.
Where are you?
Okay.
Where are
Mine-
you seeing that? I don't
Video
see it.
settings.
Under meetings.
Meetings, and you go down, where you can turn your video off when you join a meeting, and you can do this and that. Display up to 49 participants per screen and gallery view is.
Last one. but
I don't have meetings. I have general, video, audio.
Video.
Share screen.
Video.
Okay. I'm in.
Now
I'm
go
in
down.
Video.
Now under meetings, under video.
But I
Okay,
also
the
a
bottom of the
27-inch
page.
screen, and it's grayed out.
Oh yeah, mine's grayed out too. I can finally see it now.
There's a note that says that the CPU on my computer only supports 25 participants per screen in gallery view.
That's why I can't do virtual backgrounds probably.
Yeah.
Might
on
also
some
be.
if you have-
The thing with virtual backgrounds, if you don't have enough room, if your computer doesn't support virtual background, if you actually said you have a green screen and you put a green cloth behind you,
Right.
you may be able to do a background there because it's easier to map to a solid sheet than to the varied background.
I looked on eBay for one of those rolling green chalkboards that somebody was trying to get rid of. Didn't have any luck.
Go to Dollar Tree and buy a lime green tablecloth cover. It's $1.
It's cheaper.
Good night, everybody. I'm gonna take off.
Good night.
Thanks, Gary.
Somebody
Thank
has
you.
to do
All right, thanks.
and CPUs.
Thank you.
You got to have both. Graphics processors.
All right.
Well, that was
Well,
fun.
Thanks for everyone's participation tonight. I think there were a
Really good.
lot of very good questions, and we all learned quite a bit from Gary.
Absolutely.
Great meeting.
nice guy.
Great meeting.
Yeah, and I never really thought of the App Store as being in the cloud, but I guess it really is.
Yeah, you can delete your apps and say download them anytime you want. I do that on the phone all the time.
If you've done that, the ones that you've gotten before, there'll be a little cloud with a down arrow. So you'll know that it's already yours.
And there's another thing that you can do on your phone is if you're like me and you can't find the app that you're looking for, to go back to the App Store and search for the app, and it'll say, open. You tap on the open, it'll take you to the app on the it'll launch the app for you.
But that's my complaint. It'll take you there, but I need a way to find out where I put it on my phone.
If you go to your home screen,
Well, you can see
and
the
you,
icon.
and you start in the middle and pull it down, and
then it'll help
it'll
remind
tell
you.
you where your app is, what folder you put it in.
Nathan?
Use Spotlight search, and if it's the only item that comes up in Spotlight search, it will say which folder it's in, if it's in a folder.
There's Spotlight search on the iPhone?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There is.
Just put your finger in the middle of the screen and drag it down, and you'll get a search bar at the top.
Oh.
And then type in the name of the app. But if more than one app comes up, then it will not show you the folder. It'll only show you the folder if only one app comes up.
Okay.
I can see everybody's trying that right now.
Learn something every day. I'm done now.
You're still alive, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, if you open it from there, won't you be able to, well, anyway.
Yeah, you
I can show that on my iPad if you'd like.
Yeah, do it.
You can
one
show
other
it that way
question.
and use it, but you got to do that each time unless you find out where it is.
And that's what
Well, yeah.
if like
It
I
should
said,
tell you where it
the
is.
only one
Oh, when you close it, it'll
comes
lead
up
you down that
will show
page
you the
anyway, won't
folder
it?
that it's in.
Well, wait, can you drag a shortcut to your home screen?
You don't need a shortcut. It's a shortcut itself. It is the shortcut.
We'll drag the
Well,
copy
like
of the
if you-
shortcut up there.
But there is no need for a shortcut. It is a shortcut.
I understand, but you want to get to it from your home.
Can you move
screen.
it though to where you want it now from there?
That's
Oh,
I
right.
think that's what he's trying to ask.
That's right.
Yeah, you can put it anywhere you want.
Once you found it, you can move it.
I have one other question. Do you know when the membership drive is going to start again?
Well, we're doing it right now. We're signing up for a renewing membership.
Okay, so go to .org and do it.
Correct.
Okay.
It'll be all of that was in the slide deck I had, so they'll be up on the website before long.
I had to come in a little late.
Should have got an email too.
Yeah. I came a little late because I had a deacon meeting, so.
Can I mention one more quick thing? If anybody wants to see a fascinating Texas Monthly article about Willie Nelson, in their latest issue, they do a ranking of 143 Willie Nelson albums. So you can just do a Google search for Texas Monthly Willie Nelson and you'll see it listed. And there are albums on that list that I never knew existed. They critique all 143 of them.
That's amazing.
Wow.
There you go, Nancy.
A new Nancy project, huh?
Looks like Nancy's gone already.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
have to
people have
tell her.
dropped off now.
She'll listen to the recording and hear it.
He's the one to go with half the time when we would go. I told you that.
Should I stop the recording?
Yeah, I
See
think
y'all
we can
later.
wrap things up, stop the
Bye-bye.
recording, and